So I'm going to talk about Stranger Things 5, Volume 1 and 2. I meant to talk about Volume 1 pretty much immediately when it came out, and the holidays happened, and my family got sick, and we were really busy, and so it just never happened. So I want to go ahead and get my thoughts out about Volume 1 and 2 before the finale happens on Wednesday. I am actually going to go see the finale in theaters this Wednesday on New Year's Eve, which I'm super excited about. I'm very much looking forward to that. Me and my brother and my friend and his fiance are going to go, and we've kind of made it a tradition to watch the new seasons of Stranger Things as they come out together. We couldn't do it this time because they happened to land on holidays for each of them, but we're going to go see the finale together in theaters, so that's going to be super fun. I'm very much looking forward to that. So I will say, to get right in, this is going to be spoilery. I am assuming if you clicked on a video for a channel this small for Stranger Things, you've probably already seen Stranger Things 5, Volume 1 and 2. So I'm going to get into spoilers. I'm probably not going to go out of my way to talk about them, but they are going to be mentioned here and discussed. So if you haven't by chance seen the show and you care about that, I wouldn't watch this yet. Maybe go watch the show and then come back if you want to and watch. So yeah, there's your disclaimer. Okay, so we kind of start off in a different place than I was expecting us to start off. I was expecting us to kind of like go straight in from the end of season 4, where the earthquakes were happening. The Upside Down was literally like kind of coming into the regular world. I was expecting season 5 to kind of just start immediately after that and just hit the ground running with all the chaos that was going to ensue after that. And they don't do that. So they start, I think, based off of what Max said, maybe 2 years later. And basically a lot of the chaos has been dealt with in a sense. Hawkins is now quarantined. The military is there, and they're obviously investigating these rifts. I think they're called rifts, and looking for 11, because it seems like the new doctor seemingly thinks that 11 is involved in these in some way, which I suppose technically she is. But that seems to be like her, motivation is to find 11. We obviously find out later the reason for that, why she really wants 11. But at least in the very beginning, and I think this is still true, she sees 11 as a villain, and really wants to hunt her down. So like we obviously see in the beginning, they're hunting down a random woman thinking it's 11. And we do have, kind of that very classic, like, Stranger Things, like, main characters versus the military, although it's different. And here we obviously have, like, the one returning general character, but Dr. Brenner is not here anymore, and the new doctor, is it Drake? Is it something like that? I don't remember exactly what it is. Dr. K, not Dr. Drake. Yeah, so she's kind of like the new, like, Brenner-ish character, and ironically looks like her features are very similar. The age, doctor in the military, the hair, the ethnicity. So like very much kind of like the gender bent version of Dr. Brenner. I will say, so far, not even holding a candle to Dr. Brenner, though. Like, to be fair, Dr. Brenner had 4 seasons, whereas this person has 1 season. But I do much prefer Dr. Brenner. Anyways, though, like I said, we have this classic relationship and antagonistic relationship between the military and the Stranger Things main cast. It seems to be taking a little bit of a backseat. Like in the first 4 episodes, it's much more prominent. In the most recent 3 episodes in Volume 2, not as prominent. But yeah, so they're already in Hawkins. Everybody is already aware of the situation. They're in this quarantine area, and kind of just they figured out how to do life with basically a military occupation going on. So then we obviously pick up with like the main characters, and we have the the main boys in high school. We have Elle and Hopper and Joyce off doing their training thing. We have Robin, Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy working at the Squawk radio station, and they're all kind of, they're all working together. The Squawk is kind of like the giving out the secret codes through the through the radio. They're writing them down, planning out their next crawl to effectively, go through each of these rifts into the Upside Down to try and locate Vecna to take him out. The idea of that is pretty cool, I think. It is interesting that they're just like at this point, this is just like normal for them. It's like, yeah, we look for Vecna, or Hopper does. Finds him, he's gonna try and kill him. It's like, it is interesting, it took all of them just to like mortally wound him. And there is some debate at the beginning on whether or not Vecna's dead or not, but yeah, it is funny. Like, what is Hopper gonna do when he gets there? Well, I mean, we know what he's gonna plan to do. He's gonna blow himself up. But anyways, I don't know how they're faking out the rest of the crew. So I do in this season so far, if I'm gonna stay with the characters for a minute, I really appreciate how much attention they're giving to Will. I think Will has kind of taken a back seat since season 2 overall, as far as like plot importance for the main narrative, and they've really made him front and center this season, and I've really enjoyed that, because like this is like, as much as it is, everybody's, the main kids' stories, it's really like, I mean, it's like really Eleven's story, and it's really Will's story. So I'm really glad that they're giving him as much screen time as they are, as much like importance as they do. Same thing, with 11, like she's, same thing kind of with like the military. She's very front loaded in the first 4 episodes, and then the back 3 not as much. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with her and 8, who shows up in the finale, and what that's going to entail, and them, like, I guess trying to kill Vecna and then like destroying themselves so that Dr. K doesn't get them and make more of them. This is interesting. I don't really know how to feel about the whole 8 thing. Like, my friends, like, I've definitely, they're like, we don't trust 8. Like, and obviously 8 is gonna try and, is trying to convince 11 to basically kill themselves at the end once they defeat Vecna. But even more than that, it's like something just seems off about 8, and maybe it is nothing, and it's just, her conviction about how they need to just not exist, or else Dr. K is always going to pursue them and always going to try and replicate what they got with them, with other mothers and children. So this is interesting. I'm really interested to see how that kind of plays out. I initially thought that 11 was going to die in this season, which I'll talk about the lack of deaths in a second. But now that they're like setting up that 11 is supposed to die, it seems like maybe she won't die. I still stand by my opinion. I think that Will's going to die, though, of all the main 4 boys. I could see Lucas dying too, because like he's just gotten Max back, which, like, hooray. I love Max. Max is back. It's hype. It was really interesting, like, her role in Henry's dreamland. And I realize I'm kind of just rambling. I'm not going in any order at all, but it's because there's so much to cover, which is kind of like the thing about this season, because I know it's controversial. And I think that, like, one of the reasons it's controversial, which is, partially maybe due to the way that it was released, but it seems like there are a lot of things happening, but, like, the plot isn't progressing as much as, like, the things that are happening at, like, the same rate. So, like, a lot of things are happening in each of these episodes, but it seems like the needle isn't moving that much. And, maybe because it's like there's not that much plot in this, like main, like, super important plot in this season. So their objective is, like, relatively simple, but there are all these things in between, that they have to deal with. And I'm fine with that. I love the adventures. I like this season. I understand it's controversial, and I think, I don't want to compare it to other seasons yet, because I haven't, I haven't seen the end. I haven't seen the finale, so it'd be unfair for me to compare that. I do think maybe a lot of people are kind of like disappointed because season 4 was like so unbelievably good. Like season 4 to me is like easily the best season. I think, at that point, like I said, I think it's unfair because we haven't seen the finale, but at the same time, like, you shouldn't expect, the next season of a show to be as good as the previous season or better. Like, you can hope that it's going to be good, and you can even, with the track record that Stranger Things have, expect that it's going to be good, and I do think it's good. I think it's reached that. Is it as good as season 4? Like, again, I can't say because I haven't seen the finale. I mean, given the way this is going, I'm going to say it's probably not going to end up being as good as season 4, but like, that's okay. Like, I don't need it to be as good as season 4. But everybody's mileage may vary. Just because you're not loving the season, that's okay too. Like, everybody has their own opinions, but I've been enjoying it. Back to what I was talking about. It is interesting to see, like, speaking of Max coming back, like, Lucas has been obviously dealing with this loss, and him and Dustin in this season have kind of been the two sides of the same coin, where they've both dealt with loss within the last season, and Lucas is grieving and handling his somewhat with peace. Obviously going to visit Max, playing her the Kate Bush song, hoping that she's gonna wake up. But he seems to be at least a little bit at peace with what the situation is, whereas Dustin is not. Like, Dustin is like off the rails, and he's out of control, and he's just angry. They're handling grief in two very different ways. And this is the first season where, like, Dustin is like kind of annoying, like, which at first kind of caught me off guard, and I'm like, okay, I don't really like this. Like Dustin is like, he's like the guy that you always like throughout the whole show, because he's like the constant character that you can always love, kind of like Hurley from Lost. It's like you're always gonna like Hurley. Like, other characters are gonna make you frustrated, but it's like Hurley's the guy. Like you always like Hurley, and like Dustin has been that guy up until this season, but now he's not, and he's like kind of a jerk, and he's mourning, but he's still like kind of a jerk, very much a jerk. And we finally get the resolution with him and Steve at the end of, or towards the end of Volume 2, which I think was well done, and it was good to like see like Dustin just like, come back into his own, and them embrace each other with the friendship that they've kind of blossomed into over the past 5 seasons. That was a great character moment. And that's one thing about like this show, where it's, in previous seasons, I feel like these character arcs have been kind of like long, and have been very like up and down. This season, it's very like, there've been like small moments of it, like nothing is too, and I think it's because there's so much to do, or so many characters to cover. There's not necessarily enough time to spend as much time on these character arcs as you typically would. So, not that they aren't getting the time, it's just they're in short spurts. And so, like, you see this with Dustin and Steve, you see this with Nancy and Jonathan, and to a smaller degree with Mike and Eleven, although they seem to be in a good place. Mike is so much more enjoyable this season than he has been, again, for like the past 2 seasons. Him and Will were kind of like in the same boat for different reasons. Like, Will was just kind of being useless the past few seasons, and Mike was just like really annoying the past few seasons. So Mike is not annoying in this season. He's like, to me, like one of the best characters, and Will is doing stuff this season as he should be. So I'm very happy with the way that those 2 characters have been treated. And yeah, talking about like Jonathan and Nancy, like what a sequence with them in that, like, the antimatter, like, thing, I can't remember what it's called, that's above Hawkins' lab, with the whole room melting and everything. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but the moment that they have in there, I thought for sure, I thought they were gonna die. And nobody's died yet. Like, nobody's died yet, which is crazy. Mike's parents came the closest. Mike and Nancy and Holly. And by the way, like, what an addition to make Holly a main character this season. I think her arc has been great. It's been really cool, like getting actually getting to see her, and her obviously being a very important part of this show. That's been really cool. But yeah, so their parents like basically almost died and didn't. They kind of pulled like a Max where it's like, they probably should have died, but we won't kill them this time. And like, it's okay. So like, I think they've ended up, creating a cool small arc for Mike's mom. But we get to Jonathan and Nancy, and like, what a scene in there where they're, airing their grievances about each other, but like they're kind of like bonding over it and realizing that, them as a thing is just, it's not working, and that's okay, and they're both feeling peace about it. And I thought for sure that they were going to die, because towards the end of that conversation where Jonathan takes out the ring and says, Nancy, will you do me the honor of not marrying me or something, it starts playing the track called Eulogy, which I think was initially played. It was either at the end of season 1 or in season 2. Maybe when Bob dies? When somebody dies. But like, since then, like, that track plays when a character dies in the show. And that track started playing, and I was like, oh, they're a goner. But they didn't die. So I guess that was just for like the end, like the death of their relationship, I guess. But it's okay. It was a great scene. And that was a scene that felt very classic Stranger Things character moment kind of scene. So I really enjoyed that. Getting into like the villains a little bit, obviously with Vecna being the main one this season, him showing up as Henry a lot more in the dream world, with Holly and her classmates. I think it's cool. I'm a little bit conflicted because I really like the way that Jamie Kimmel Bower performs. So I like, obviously seeing him, and, it reminds me of like Number One and everything. But at the same time, like, I don't know, I think Vecna's scarier. So he doesn't, for me, have quite the horror appeal when he's, Henry as much as he is this season as when he's actually Vecna. So, but yeah, so we've obviously come to learn that the Upside Down is kind of just like this I'm still kind of confused. I need to go back and watch the episode, but basically it's a black hole right behind the Upside Down. So in between the Upside Down and this other, I think they call it Earth X maybe. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like what exactly, like, I think, they think that Vecna is going to try and like merge the worlds into one, which is interesting. And I'm still confused, like, where's the Mind Flayer? Like, the Mind Flayer didn't die, right? He's out there somewhere. I was thinking we were going to get a lot more of it this season, and I'm guessing that he's going to play a part in the finale, because like, it's not dead, and I've kind of had like this secret theory, like, I think the Mind Flayer is still like kind of like the big bad. Like, obviously they have this relationship, and it's still kind of unclear to me, like, whether the Mind Flayer is controlling Vecna or Vecna is controlling the Mind Flayer. But we haven't seen like the Mind Flayer as the Mind Flayer much this season, aside from like it coming out of like people's like the Demogorgon's mouth and maybe like Holly's mouth. So yeah, I know, and Will arguably has this connection to it because he has it through Vecna, and he can see through the hive mind, which is connected to the Mind Flayer, obviously. So there's, there's elements of aspects of the Mind Flayer, but like, where is the Mind Flayer? Like, I'm guessing I'm hoping it's gonna have a pretty major role in the series finale. So we'll see. I've kind of just like rambled about this so far, so like, this is very unstructured, but I'm kind of just dumping my thoughts. And yeah, I'm very excited. Again, I know it's a controversial season. If you like it, like, great. If you don't, that's like cool too, I think overall, like, even if this season ends up not being great, like, it doesn't ruin the show. And the show is still like one of my favorite shows, like, period. And yeah, again, I'm having a good time with season 5. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing the finale, and I'm very excited to be seeing it in a theater. So we'll see how it ends, and then I'll give my thoughts on the finale and the season as a whole once that airs. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited to go see it in theaters with my friends. So let me know what you guys think. If you like this season, if you don't like this season, like, either is cool. So let me know, and I thank you guys again for watching, and just keep an eye out for the next video on the finale. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.